all over the world, you'll find that India has a very, very high population density. Population has been growing at a tremendous pace. We must realize this is a problem. However, the paradox of this is human habitation, and this intense human habitation has been living in close interaction with the natural world. The extent of degraded land is increasing. As you can see, today's news says there's 1% increase in forest cover. Yes, there is 1% increase in forest cover, but there's also a degradation that seems to be happening all over the place. And what we have as a 1% growth are really our built up forests. The Paris Agreement that we signed a few years ago has said that we will create carbon stocks for global warming. It's a problem on us. We know it's a problem on us. Thus, India has made commitments to carbon sequestration and large amounts of carbon sequestration. Where is it going to come from? How are we going to achieve this? Our estimate is that there is anywhere between 25 to 40% land that can be restored, that can be tree grown. It is estimated that about 20% of the land is common lands, commonly held, not individually owned lands. How are we going to manage them? There's a big threat on common lands all across India that is happening because industry is looking at it, infrastructure is looking at it, huge contention for common land. INDC, these are India's voluntary pronouncement saying we will sequester so much carbon, and we are talking about India being an additional carbon sink. Additional, what is today? Additional 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide. How much of land is equivalent to this? What will be the tree cover by 2030? We really have no estimates. It's very, very difficult to estimate carbon stock, carbon growth or tree cover growth and carbon stock. So what we are talking about is the elements of a knowledge platform, a participatory and interactive platform to aggregate and organize and serve information. So we need to nudge people towards participation. We need what people would do, what communities would do is delineate common lands and common boundaries, annotate them, describe them with the social, ecological and economic information saying when was it done, what was it. This we believe will bring out a transparency in decision making, it will bring out participation governance, and it will be a platform to share and collaborate and attract funding for restoration activities. There's going to be huge funding that's going to be available for restoration activities. Participative governance, we are talking about ICT-enabled action. The important thing about participation is access to information. If information is openly accessed, openly shared across the whole community, across governments, with the larger community, we believe participation, that is the way to enable participation in an IT-enabled world. Ability for communities to participate and collaborate with other initiatives. And this, we believe, will bring about transparency in decision making and transparency in governance. Thank you very much.
Now today, when you talk of participatory governance, how much women do we have in our parliament? 10%. At the apex level. Thankfully, because of the 73rd and 74th Amendment, 33% was guaranteed women's participation. Such a large-scale participation of women in the grassroots democratic bodies in India was an unprecedented event in the history of humanity. And now that women are there in the grassroots democratic bodies, they are being inhibited to function properly. During this last Independence Day or Republic Day celebrations, a Dalit woman was not allowed to hoist the flag in a panchayat in UP. That's because she was just a Dalit. So how do you define patriotism in terms of governance, in terms of exclusion of women in the name of caste? So therefore, again, when you discuss about participatory governance, the participation must have a broad spectrum approach going beyond narrow and immediate identities. And the third point, which is extremely important, is to use the governance, participatory governance for capability approach. In Bihar, 1917, Champaran Satyagraha took place. So while Gandhi addressed the issue of farmers who were forced to plant indigo, but he stressed on education, sanitation, and many other aspects. So he provided an architecture, he broke the law, and the breaking of the law in 1917 in Champaran Satyagraha eventually resulted in the framing of a law. That law was Champaran Agrarian Act, 1917. In 1947, Mahatma Gandhi stressed on harnessing wind energy and solar energy in the context of participatory governance. So therefore, today when we talk of renewable energy resources, for transiting from a carbon economy to an economy which is sustainable and which actually transforms the lives of the people, which is the main theme of this conference, we need to invoke that ideal which was articulated by Gandhi long years back. So therefore, participatory governance means this also, to explore the alternative sources of energy, a clean fuel, which are now being talked about across the world. And in fact, that would transform the lives of the people. And that is what we need to flag.
I was looking for a job and, to cut a long story short, ended up at the National Dairy Development. I didn't know Dr. V. Kurian. What has he told at the time? I am looking for people who have integrity, commitment to the cause of the organization. If they have some technical knowledge, that's very good. Otherwise, we can train them. Once I was traveling with him from Delhi, and after a meeting, very stormy meeting, and then he says that I used to be his executive assistant those days. So call a meeting. So I called a meeting of all the senior people, and 3 o'clock, everybody comes to the boardroom, the Shastri boardroom. And the point was, he says, I had a meeting with the Prime Minister's office and they want us to accept Holstein Friesian cows, which are coming as a gift from the Princess of Greece. So where should we accept or not? And the meeting took place, everybody puts his point of view, somebody opposes, somebody doesn't, and he was just listening. And after that, well, the buck must stop somewhere. Now, I have to take a decision. And the decision was taken. That was the participatory style of V. Kurian. See, the point was that, as he said in the first interview itself, if one is clear about the purpose of the organization, the vision of the organization, and there is constant bombardment and education, you can say, about that. We used to have, when IRMA students started coming to the dairy board, I used to go and recruit. So you should have an induction program. So we designed a 15-day induction program. V. Kurian will come on the last day. And this is somehow, it's a typical batch after batch. You see, you have come here to do dairying the Anand way. If you have any other ideas, you are most welcome, but you can see the gate out there. You can go out and do it. That was the participation. But within that, total freedom. We could do whatever we want to within our realms. So there was discipline, there was a commitment which at times was forced. So sometimes participatory, but sometimes central kind of a thing. A balance is needed. Thank you very much.
कथनी और करने में बहुत फर्क है. गांधी जी ने कहा, do you know the number of the members in the Constituent Assembly, women members of the Constituent Assembly? It was just 15. Out of 389, there are only 15 members in the Constituent Assembly who drafted the Indian Constitution. So, governance is a masculine affair. And there's a very interesting story which I'll share regarding this. Though in Bihar is the first state which has implemented this 50% reservation for the women in Panchayat, PRI. When asked one very, very senior minister, कि सर assembly में कब होगा? The response was, हमारे पेट पे क्यों लात मार रहे हो भाई? So what are the basic concerns about the women's participation? Though it has, in Bihar, the DMIs have done the research and many other organizations have done the research regarding this PRE participation, and things are improving very fast. From SP, Sarpanch Pati to MP to Mukhya Pati, things are changing now. Women are taking the decisions. But still they are facing a lot of hurdles because of the lack of many things, and one of those is the awareness about the entire institution. Women's participation will increase through the movement, and another one through the cadre based. हमारे भारत की आज़ादी की लड़ाई में शुरू में तो महिलाएं नहीं आई थी, लेकिन जब महात्मा गांधी जी ने क्लैरियन कॉल दिया तो महिलाएं आगे आए और काफ़ी आगे तक गईं. लेकिन आज़ादी के बाद जब सत्ता के बंटवारे की बात आती है तो कितनी महिलाएं उसमें हिस्सा ले पाती हैं. तो आउट ऑफ मूवमेंट जो पॉलिटिकल रिक्रूटमेंट्स होते हैं, जो गवर्नेंस के जो मेन शेयर होल्डर्स रहते हैं, जेपी मूवमेंट, सो जो मूवमेंट के प्रोडक्ट होते हैं उनका भी फ़ायदा हम पुरुषों को मिलता है, महिलाओं को नहीं मिलता है. दूसरा है कैडर बेस्ड. तो 33% रिजर्वेशन की बात आप लोग सुन रहे हैं. नो, ठीक है, मान लीजिए पार्लियामेंट में मत दीजिए रिजर्वेशन, अपनी पार्टी में टिकट्स तो दीजिए. लेकिन कहना है उनका कि महिलाएं जीत के नहीं आ पाएंगी, इसलिए हम नहीं दे पाते. क्यों नहीं जीत के आएंगी? व्हाट इज़ द रीज़न? द एनवायरनमेंट, the apathy of the society, lack of education, literacy, economy also it's playing an important role. Always remember the words of Dr. Sri Vivekanand ji. Women has to be in the center. They have thought, they have deliberated, but we are not following it.
Interestingly, the 73rd Amendment came. Power to people. Somehow the power was gone to the parliament. From parliament to people, the 73rd and 74th Amendment came. It's a shame on this country. 20 years have gone, 4 terms have gone. Where are the panchayats? Where are the nagarpalikas? Panchayat is a Gram Sabha, and it is not my Kutambakam model. It's a constitutional model. Gram Sabha is the people's parliament. All the voters have got the right to sit in the panchayat. They can talk, they can deliberate, they can discuss, they can come out, they can veto, they can suggest. In 1996, we made a beautiful plan. We sat in the Gram Sabha, we talked to the people. Say, you make a plan. If it's a plan is simple, call the people, this is my plan, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? They understand, yeah, this has to be changed, this has to be changed. Add it. Then automatically in one day it becomes a participatory planning. When the plan starts rolling, people will watch 3 months. In 3 months' time, you have achieved what you planned for 3 months. Then that is the catalyst. And in 2 years' time, the whole village joined with me and we crushed everything. In 5 years' time, one of the rotten village in the country, it has become a model village in 2001. I started traveling across the state, capturing good panchayats, and I created a movement for Federation of Good Panchayat Leaders. Slowly then we promoted a concept called Panchayat Academy, learning from the doing panchayats, creating platform, go there, stay there for 2 days, how he has solved, how I am solving, like that. So I have coined a beautiful model called network growth economy. We are networking a cluster of panchayats, 30 panchayats, a population of 1.5 lakh. And we are seeing what are they consuming, 40 commodities. When we do the research, actual research, out of the 40 commodities, 80% of the commodities are available in the village, in the villages. So you do cotton, I do metal, you do paddy, you do wheat, I do bakery. Then exchange within ourselves. Then automatically it gives lot of employment opportunity. Yes, we can say in a cluster of 30 to 40 panchayats, we can establish 400 enterprises, which can easily give more than 7,000 employment, apart from the agriculture, apart from the conventional skill-based thinking. This is inner economy based on the local resources, local demand. But when without local economy, without local strength, based on someone's strength, you will naturally depend on the dollar. Dollar will not be your uncle. He will slowly kill you. To come out, to bring out our India, we have to build the local economy. For that, we have to work. It is possible. That I want to share. Thank you.
We have seen, let's say, in case of the NREGS, National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. Now, very quickly, this was a scheme in which it was a right to work. in very short. A right has been given to people. So it was a self-selecting scheme. There was no beneficiary selection. The responsibility was cast upon the poor to participate. The poor will decide in what kind of work they will engage themselves in, that is physical labor, manual labor. And they will also decide when to evaluate, how to evaluate, monitor the progress of work. So in terms of the textbook definition of participatory governance at the policy formulation, implementation, and monitoring evaluation stage, it is a classic case in which a design which has been at the top, like maybe you can probably still say that it suffers from the one-size-fits-all problem, but it has been designed in such a manner. But what we found during the audit of the NREGS, that Bihar, Maharashtra, and UP, which have 46% of the rural poor, utilized only 20% of the total funds. Does it mean poverty and participation do not have any correlation? Does it mean that poor do not want jobs? If this was a right to work, a right was been given to them. They should have demanded, got the work. The basic issue that comes out is in the NREGS that participation is not automatic. There is elite capture, everybody knows about it. There is exclusion as well as inclusion, capacity issues, information asymmetry issues, as he said very correctly, and the most important thing, the donor-receiver relationships. The relationship between the government and the citizen is that of a donor and receiver and not as a partner. I would refer to the World Bank report 2017, the latest one. It identifies that power asymmetry is at the root cause of non-implementation or improper or inadequate impact of government programs. And it says that these power asymmetries can be understood and solved by a triad of actions, which is cooperation, commitment, and coordination. At the end of it, I would probably think that if you put it into a framework, it is a question of only resolving those asymmetries and probably achieve participation to a scale in which they consider as partners to government, they run themselves and do not look up to government to bolt something from the top or bolt something from above. Thank you so much.